Aaron Tuttle here. It's storm season in Oklahoma, and with that comes torrential rain, high winds, and hail. To protect your home and your family from these threats, the one roofing company you should trust is Ferguson Roof Systems. They've been providing the best in roofing services for nearly half a century. Ferguson is Oklahoma's full-service roofing company, certified with an A+ Better Business Bureau rating and a 5-star rating on Google. And with Ferguson now offering Class 4 impact-resistant shingles, now is the time to trust them with your home's roof. Get started today at FergusonRoofSystems.com.
Hey there, Meteorologist Aaron Tuttle back with you again. It is Tuesday evening. You come to the right place. Welcome, welcome. We're talking about the weather for tomorrow as we have once again a threat of more tornadoes back across Oklahoma. So you've come to the reason of sanity, not insanity, and you decide to stop by and go, okay, give me the science, give me the deal, right? Give me the 411. So we're going to do all that for you here tonight. We'll make it relatively quick. I've been doing these in 2 phases. We're kind of doing a short version, then we do an extended version. That's the old remix, where we get to add in forecast soundings, discussions over positions of dry lines and cold fronts, and moisture convergence, theta E axis, jet streaks, speed maxes. I mean, we get down to the weeds, man. So if you want to hang out for that Meteorology 101, class is in session. Just hang out a few more minutes, but at least for the first 5 or 6 minutes, you'll get most of what you need in case you got things to do. So again, appreciate you. Make sure you like and share this video both on Facebook and YouTube. Don't do it for me. Do it for others because of the Facebook and YouTube algorithms. They show things more once you guys interact and you hit those buttons. I don't write the rules. They do. We all have to follow them. So if you do me a favor, that will get the word out, especially on YouTube, because if I can get more subscribers on YouTube, they'll do closed captioning on the fly. Facebook already does it for me because I got a ton of followers on Facebook, but I can't get many of you to go to YouTube because everybody hates YouTube for some reason. But if you go there, you don't have to use it. Just hit the subscribe and like. It'll get those closed captions going for the hearing impaired. So I think it's a win-win for everybody. All right, they're currently, look, man, I'm wearing a hoodie, an AT's weather hoodie. Why am I wearing a hoodie May 3rd? Boy, today was chilly. Still is. It's 56 degrees here in my backyard on the Tempest weather station. You can pick up one too. Hit the QR code on the top right, and I'll save you some money on yours. But it's you know, it's a little bit of a change than what we're normally accustomed to. Things will get a little bit better though. All right, let's take a look here at the situation at hand. So the water vapor channel, the satellite, shows a little disturbance coming in this little region of the Four Corners area. This is a little area of low pressure. And out ahead of it is pumping in the southern branch of the jet stream, all this moisture coming in. This is a big change for us. Let me tell you how quickly we can almost eradicate a drought in 1 week. This is amazing how this has happened. And it wasn't foreseen. It's great. And that's why long-range outlooks, seasonal outlooks can really be bad. Only because it doesn't take much to get something. I know we call it the butterfly effect. But it doesn't take much to just completely change things. So we're looking for a lot of moisture to come our way. Temperatures out there right now, we're into the 50s across the state. So a little chilly. Might want to go out there in the patio, light your little fire, right? Get a little of that smell, a little of the wood. We do have an easterly fetch to the wind field out there tonight. So we have an east wind thanks to that cold front that came through last night. Rainfall amounts, like I said, amazing. We've seen 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 inches across the state last night. So I know that did lead to some brief flash flooding for some areas, especially in eastern Oklahoma. But we could still use a ton more out west and central, and we're going to get it. Wait till you see the rainfall amounts now from the latest computer data just came in, hot off the presses. We're going to need to build boats, man. All right, here's a look at the tornado aspect and the severe weather aspect in general. It's over Oklahoma tomorrow down to western Texas. If you look at the tornado area, they've extended it to the east in the yellow, and they put out a little hatch string. Little hatch string means a significant EF2 or greater strength tornado. But we've been talking about that, so it's not a surprise to you. So we do have the potential, once again, just like on Monday, for some pretty strong and violent tornadoes that could happen. Not ideal, but that is the way it is for our Wednesday. Wind also a problem, and hail a problem. If we want to zoom on in, here's a look at the central and southern Oklahoma area for the enhanced risk. I do believe it'll probably go moderate if the data keeps trending the way it is for tomorrow, but don't split hairs. A risk is a risk, and tornadoes are tornadoes. Tornado does not care if somebody put it in a moderate or a slight or a marginal or a high. A tornado is still going to tornado. We look at the potential. It's in the medium category, hail size baseball, and wind speeds 80. Pretty much the same ingredients we had in place on Monday. Eastern Oklahoma, same kind of idea. clipping the far southern counties there for the enhanced for right now. Low tornado threat there, just because the instability is a lot lower across the northern half of the state. We'll show you that here in the extended cut of this forecast. Meanwhile, the tornado potential medium here across the I-40 corridor points south. It does include the Oklahoma City metro. One of our latest models does produce a couple of tornadic supercells in the Oklahoma City metro area by late tomorrow afternoon. You're going to want to pay attention to the weather. Here's a look at flash flood potential, also moderate, could even be high once we see some of these amounts coming in. They may have to update this, but needless to say, over a large area of much beneficial rain, but in some cases a little too much. Tulsa's going at least 4 to 6 inches in their latest forecast across parts of eastern Oklahoma. All right, temperatures on tomorrow will be a lot cooler than what we'd normally see in May, but a lot warmer than today. Right around 70 degrees here in the I-40 corridor, maybe upper 60s to the north, and then down to the south into the 70s and 80s. Kind of depends on how much clearing that we get and any breaks in the rain for tomorrow. So speaking of rain, let's get to it. Here is a look at the high resolution data just came in. We're talking 6 to 7 inches of rain here in Canadian County points west. Same thing out here points east along that I-40 corridor. That's bad news, folks. Again, that can cause some flash flooding. It's hard to believe we can go from drought to flooding in just a matter of a couple of days, but that's what's going to happen the way things are setting up. It'll be a very wet day tomorrow in general. A lot of storms out there, so just keep that in mind. Flash flooding kills more people than tornadoes and lightning and hail and that stuff combined. So it is a silent killer. Now, other models kind of vary on the amounts and the placement. This has got, oh, why not go for 9 inches of rain? I mean, see what I'm saying? See how ridiculous they are? This one's got it more down to the south. This little bullseye around here is 12 inches of rain. You see what I'm saying? So the data is there. It's screaming, get ready. It just doesn't know the hot spots where to place it. I like the first model the best along the I-40 corridor. The blend of the models, if you want to blend everything out there and really smooth it out and lower it down, conservative. Again, this is conservative. 3 to 4 conservative. That's crazy. All right, so that's a look at the rainfall for this event. Let's talk about it. Here's a look at the storms, how they ought to develop late tonight into tomorrow morning. There's 4 a.m., 5 a.m., 6 a.m., so some sprinkles already going on here in central Oklahoma, points south and east. As we go into the mid-morning hours, it gets a little heavier, does move up into northern Oklahoma. By lunchtime, there's some showers and maybe even some thunderstorms with that. Could be some small hail mixed in across northeastern Oklahoma and Kansas. A new batch coming in across western Oklahoma in the early afternoon hours. That expands and grows in coverage and moves off to the east into central Oklahoma during the 4 to 5 o'clock hour. Now you see these helicity tracks right here. These helicity tracks is not good news. That would indicate a potential for a tornado here, as the shear is ideal for that type of thing to happen. So the sounding type is a tornado with the probability of at least an EF2 or EF3 on the street side, looking at the parameters that it provides with everything else good to go with that regard. So be careful around here in the afternoon hours. But it's not done, because then we have more activity that just keeps continuing to fire in this same area. These little helicity tracks can also include hail and damaging wind, by the way. And they continue off into eastern Oklahoma. Still more come in from southwestern Oklahoma as well by 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock. You see them all on the map, 9 o'clock. There's 10. Big line of storms moves through. That presses down into southeast Oklahoma. And the models want to fire again along another cold front that moves in around 2 o'clock in the morning. And that moves on down and covers the rest of central, southern, and eastern Oklahoma through Thursday morning. See this wraparound precipitation through Thursday. By afternoon, it finally starts to wrap up and leave northeast Oklahoma. It's just kind of a little insult to injury. It won't be like severe or anything that we're really concerned about. Now, we'll put a little caveat here. I'm going to back up here on this model data, just to show you that the model does bring in some dry periods of weather between all the scattered showers and storms. So there will be some dry hours on Wednesday, but you also deal with some rainfall off and on, and some of that, again, will be some severe weather. Now, if the model does not do very well, it has produced much in the way of storm activity down here in southern and southeastern Oklahoma for this first wave that has potential tornadoes. I think that's a mistake. I could easily see those down here as well. Just want to bring that to your attention. Now, when we do look at the other high-resolution CAM models that are geared, again, to producing severe weather, given this situation, we'll just flip through a few of them. What you can see here is a lot of supercell activity in west and central Oklahoma by 5 or 6 o'clock tomorrow. There's another one there. It's embedded with scattered showers, so kind of embedded supercells and all this mess. There's the other one we looked at. Let's go to this one here. Same idea, some out western Oklahoma. Otherwise, that big batch here in central. And then this one here has a totally different look, so it's an outlier. I'm throwing it away. But it also still has showers and storms, so at least it's wet. All right, the tech model that's been producing some supercell activity does the same thing. So here is the, let's call it the late afternoon and evening, moving into central and western Oklahoma. You see those helicity tracks with it moving through. So again, you have to watch for tornadic activity with that. And then it's got new development after that to the north, but it doesn't really do a whole lot other than that. It's kind of lame on the output. It's far more lame than the rest of them. So I'm going to kind of discount most of it, other than the fact that the signal is there for supercell storms with potential for tornadoes. All right, this is an experimental model. This same kind of idea. Got the big heavy rainfall moving through, scattered through the morning hours into lunchtime, and then a new development that kind of keeps going through the afternoon. This is why you get the flash flooding. You see little helicity tracks there, and you got new development back out in western Oklahoma during the evening hours, and that plows on through overnight, and then in Arkansas by Thursday. So as you can tell, most of all the models are wet. They're also they're also fixated, maybe I could say, on having some rotation characteristics with hail, wind, and tornadoes. So here's a look at temperatures out there across the region over the next couple of days. We'll be in the 70s for Thursday and Friday. Again, this is going to depend on Wednesday where you live on this temperature. I'll show you for the extended cut here in a second. Meanwhile, 90s return for Sunday and Monday, so I hope you're ready for summer heat because it's already back. And then we're back in the 80s after that. Overnight lows in the 60s, so your Bermuda grass will love it. All right. Done. That was, 6 minutes? So those of you folks that got to get, you may proceed. Those folks want to stay, learn a little bit about weather. Let's get on with it, shall we? All right, so let's go. Round 2. Tell you why things are happening the way they're happening. First thing is first, we're going to show you the jet stream, and this is the wind field in the jet stream. What I want to focus on is we have this area of low pressure that's out here, lower heights. So this is our storm system, and it's going to swing in like this. What it's tapping into is another little weak low right here, which has a Pacific moisture coming in. So we actually get a juxtaposed of 2 jet streams right overhead. So that is causing an extra kick in the winds and an extra bout of Pacific moisture. So that gives us a little bit more that we would normally see over our area. So that's one of the first main ingredients that we're going to be dealing with. Now let's put this into motion. You can see how it kind of comes together and kind of explodes right here over Texas and Oklahoma in this area. And that moves on through on Thursday. So some severe weather probably in Arkansas on Thursday. And then we kind of wait and see what happens in the pattern as everything changes. We get this little zonal flow briefly coming back in over the weekend. But if we're going to warm, it typically means we get a ridge pumping here. But we'll take the long range outlook later. Don't have time for that tonight. All right, so if we zoom in and we just focus on tomorrow afternoon, 6, 7 o'clock, what do we have in the atmosphere? 300 millibars, we have what we call a split flow. You got winds going in this direction, and you got winds that go in this direction. So this is your split flow, and this means a lot of exhaust for the storms, a lot of breathing room, means a lot of lift, crazy amounts of lift in the atmosphere to get storms to develop. All right, so now we go to 500 millibars where we have the jet streak overhead where these winds are in excess of 50 to 60 knots. So that is also beneficial for severe weather. At 850 millibars, the low-level jets coming in across Texas into southern Oklahoma. So that is also favorable for, yep, you guessed it, severe weather. All right, now we're going to get into the southern position because we may have everything going well upstairs, but also what matters is at the surface where we live and breathe. So we've actually had our high-resolution models flip-flop about where the position of the front is going to be in all the instability. So keep in mind, again, today is stable, nice cool air, drier atmosphere, dew points in the 40s. Well, tomorrow we're going to have a surge of dew points in the 60s and 70s coming back in Oklahoma. So this is the high-resolution HRRR model, and it keeps that little frontal boundary right about like this. All right, so this, my friends, is downtown Oklahoma City, and this is downtown Tulsa. You see what I'm saying? It depends if you live on the north side or if you live on the south side, if you were to take this verbatim with no changes. South side, bad place to be. North side, no problem. Because what happens is when the difference between this is instability. A lot more instability down here on this side, very little instability on this side. So any storms that cross over to the north side, the best they can be is elevated hail makers. And they'll weaken with time as they continue into this air mass. Whereas down south or along this boundary, you have a mixture of everything. So it really comes the point to where this boundary resides tomorrow, and this all depends on how much rain we get all morning long and if we get any breaks. So this actually won't be known until probably early afternoon, like 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. We'll know exactly where this boundary is going to set up and where the fine tuning of the severe threat is going to be. And unfortunately, it's just the way it goes with these situations. But the models try to do their best. All right, so that's a look at the HER model. The NAM model, look what it does. So remember, HER, NAM, HER, NAM. NAM model shoves it way down south along the Red River. You know what? If it can do that, more power to it, because that's going to help to eliminate a lot of the severe weather threat across central Oklahoma. It's a major outlier, so I'm going to doubt it because I didn't like the reflectivity that it produced, which would have caused this pattern. I think it was a little too aggressive. But just for giggles, we're going to look at the forecast sounding down here in southern Oklahoma. All right, so the shear it has for it is decent enough for tornadoes, both speed and direction. Now this is the one limit that I think both models have down here, especially this one. It has it too cold, 65 degrees over 63, so it's a little too cold. If that's the case, these would be elevated storms. And when they're elevated like this, they can't produce tornadoes. So that's, I think, a failure in the model. All right, so let's go back to the HER, and let's assume that the HER is right. And I'll pick the same spot down here in southern Oklahoma just to compare apples to apples. In this case, and I'm unfortunately I have to pick one that's not getting storms, which maybe I can pick this spot here. It's about as good as the other one. So in this idea, same idea, that the shear is good for turning direction, speed, all that kind of stuff. No cap really to speak of, so that's not a limiting factor. And the tornado potential is up around EF2, EF3. So the indices are a little stronger. It has a temperature of 77 over 71. The other one was, what, 63 over 61? Huge difference. And huge difference in your storms when that happens. So anyway, so that is a big key in tomorrow's weather that we may not know exactly until late. So keep that in mind. All right, so when you do that, and you look at the CAPE and instability and the shear overlay, where is the most probable areas for severe weather? Well, again, that outlier model is way down south now into North Texas. So we're going to discount that one. All right, so this is a higher resolution model. Believe it or not, it actually kind of jives with that, keeps it down here to the south. Another high resolution model brings it back north, the southern third. Here's another one, got it back south again, and then here's the HRR. So HRR is an outlier on the one end, and there's a model blend on the other end now that's kind of shoving it more into southern Oklahoma toward the Red River into North Texas. So I'd be fine with that. The more of us we can clear out of this mess, the better off we're going to be. When you look at whether or not the cap is a problem, so this is the more colors you see on the map is indicating where the lid is, but you have to have instability. So most of these models didn't have instability in Oklahoma at all, if you noticed, and it was all down in North Texas. So it does have a little bit of a cap on the northern fringe here, but otherwise uncapped in, say, the Dallas-Fort Worth area, for example. And in North Texas, all these little areas here where it's clear and there's no colors, that's where the cap breaks free. This model here, it brings that lid back up to the north, so it's got all of southern Oklahoma not capped. And then the HRR has the cap line right here along the cold front, which we outlined from Tulsa to Oklahoma City. So south of that, it does break the cap in this area. As these numbers here on the cursor drop down to 0, there's anything around less than minus 30 is not even a cap at all. And then there's some spots where the cap does build, like minus 292. That'd be a huge cap, so nothing would happen there. But that's just the model's best guess at trying to figure out where it's weak and where it's strong. When we look at the significant tornado parameter, all the best ingredients, again, it depends on how far south all this instability is shoved. This model loves it being shoved down here along the Red River in North Texas. This one does the same, a little bit of southeast Oklahoma. This one likes the southern third of the state, and this one likes the southern roughly half of the state. So pick your poison, take your blend. When we look at the HER model, it does peak the tornado probabilities as far as that graphic is concerned here, right around the 4, 5, 6, 7 o'clock hour. So that's kind of where it peaks out. If we head into, let's go to 8, 9, 10, you can see how it gets shoved down in the south and east, but that's just because the storms have cleared us out by that point in time. And then we look at the hail potential with this. These little streaks here indicate where you see yellow, that the storms are going to be at least golf ball size hail, 1.75 inches. I've never seen this model produce bigger hail, but the forecast indices say you could have, baseball's softball size hail. So I don't know. I've been playing with this just to see what it does so far. I've never been impressed with it, but it's always undercutted what's potentially out there. So if it's already going golf ball, it's got nowhere else to go but up from there. So maybe that's a sign that we're at bigger hail than that. And that's just kind of anywhere you see these little supercell storms. So that is more the meteorology side of things. So what does that really mean for you in the end? Well, it's problematic. All right. So if you have, I'm trying to find. So on Monday's event, I found two weaknesses that may mess things up. One, the morning convection that lasts a little too long. We didn't clear out enough over central eastern Oklahoma. That was one. And the jet stream wasn't there at 250 millibars. It was weak winds aloft. Those are two negatives. Everything else was positive for tornado production. So how much those affected our outcome on Monday, I'm not sure. Obviously enough, because we didn't see that many tornadoes and the storms became more linear. So if a storm system can become more linear, that helps to reduce the tornado aspect big time. Huge. All right. So that's kind of what happened with that aspect. So far we've had I think 4 confirmed tornadoes, and they're still looking to see if there's any more. All right, so for tomorrow, I think we're basically in the same boat across the southern half of the state, and I'll just, I got to play it safe with the HER model and lead to I-40 being basically the northern fringe of where tornadic activity is most likely. So from I-40 corridor points south, from east to west across the state. That means Tulsa, I think you're going to be too much in the colder air, and storms have a long time to get there. You'll be more stable. So I'm going to kind of rule you out from that right now. But I'm including Oklahoma City, though, and point southward. So what I would hope to see tomorrow is that we get so much rain, and it keeps our temperatures in the low 60s all day, all right? And then the instability is just shoved to the Red River and into North Texas. So the farther south you go, you will have a stronger cap in general to fight with. But because this is a quick resurgence of instability and moisture because of a nice day today, that first day that you have when you go from really nice weather to all of a sudden where'd this come from? Where's the stickiness? You can smell it in the air. That first day, there's rarely a strong cap in place, very rare, which means those storms are a lot easier to be rooted at the surface. If they're rooted at the surface, what we call the boundary layer, then they can become tornadic, giving other ingredients. And there's plenty of ingredients for becoming tornadic. So that's why I think we're going to see some embedded tornadoes and this clusters of just mess of rain tomorrow. And it could happen late morning. It could happen mid-afternoon. It would be more of an outlier event during those periods, but it is definitely on the table. So just be careful. And then in the evening, as the better opportunity looking at that data, as our usual, from 4 to 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock. And then we'll see what happens as the storms come out of western Oklahoma and Texas panhandle. Those look like they might be supercellular, which again, they would be producing tornadoes as they come in towards central Oklahoma again later. Eventually, the models are favoring a linear mode of convection, meaning less supercellular and more linear. So root for the linear, and then you're stuck with a possibility of an embedded supercell in that produces a tornado, or a QLCS type tornado on the leading edge, which is not a supercell production version. It's a different way to produce one, but a lot weaker. So you're kind of shifting gears into that. And that's kind of what we had on Monday. We had a hybrid on Monday. It ended up being a mess. So this may end up being kind of a messy hybrid situation too. But regardless, we're going to have tornadoes. All right. So just like last time, you know what to do. Lowest floor, away from all outside walls and windows. And then write it out. Make sure you use my weather app. AT's Weather to Go. It's free. Apple, Google Play. It'll warn you up to about 15 minutes ahead of time if there's going to be a tornado in your area before a warning is even issued. And I also meant to do this on Facebook. If you click the link I just picked, when I do go live, you'll get a direct notification from me through your Facebook Messenger. If you want to, sign up for that and just hit live broadcast and or manage messages. You have to manage the message after a couple of times or Facebook will drop it from you. And I've had people ask me, hey, when I click on watch live broadcast, it takes me to a Facebook page to log in. What's up with that? Well, this goes through your browser, so on your phone or on your computer. A lot of you don't use a web browser on your phone. You use the app itself, so it's going to want you to log in. So if you save your credentials in your app browser where it autofills, then it'll save you a step of having to type that in. Conversely, if you get that and you get the message from me, then just go open up your app if you don't want to go through your browser and just watch that way. The point is, it's a notification because the Facebook algorithms don't notify you anymore like they used to. I don't know why I don't write the code. It's frustrating for me, obviously on my end, because I want all of you to know when I go live because it's important. Either we're doing this or I'm covering tornadoes. Those are the only two reasons. So they're both kind of important. Let's see. What else? Big news here. Before you go, huge news. I'm going to be tied up tomorrow. All right. So this is going to force you, unfortunately, to get weather information from other sources that you normally get from me. Now, you can still use my app, obviously, NOAA weather radio, that kind of stuff, but I probably won't be able to broadcast the earliest, if I even could, big if, wouldn't be until probably 11:30 or midnight. And by then, I think most of the tornadic activity is well over with. Still some storms and stuff, but I think all that threat is over. I'll see what I can do, maybe during the middle of the day at some point here and there. I may make a few posts, but unfortunately, I've got a work commitment that is just scheduled at the wrong possible time, and I can't get out of it. There's nothing I can do. It is what it is. I got to sleep on it. I've already complained to myself 1,000 times. It doesn't do any good. So I'm gonna have to find some type of method to be okay with this and accept it. You know how it is when you don't want to accept something and it's forced upon you. You just gotta accept it, and it's, oh man, that's a terrible place to be. So that's what I'll be doing for tomorrow. So while you guys are seeking shelter, just keep in mind I'm not bailing on you. It's that I just can't. I'm incapacitated, but I'll see what I can do. I'll do what I can. Let's see, anything else? I think that was it. So let me see if there's any couple of questions you guys wanted to shoot at me real quick, and then I'm gonna let you go. I love it when my storm chasers and stuff just message me like during my lives, because they have no idea that I'm live. I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty sure you're gonna be out tomorrow, as every other storm chaser. Hit me up later. We'll talk. What's funny is I'm loving, Robert's already asking for soundings. You guys are great though when you're asked for soundings. Unfortunately, I could pick multiple soundings in that unstable area and they all look the same, which is strong tornado and a lot of indices that you don't want to see usually for severe weather. All right, so on YouTube, thanks for checking in, by the way. So Apollo, yes, Oklahoma City has tornado potential at this point in time. Now remember, keyword here is where does that front end up? Right now we have it right along I-40. It could easily be just south. All right, it could be even a little bit more south to like maybe Paoli or Paul's Valley. Again, everywhere it goes south, that removes the tornado threat. So you want to be on the north side tomorrow if you don't want to worry about tornadoes. Well, that's probably most of us, obviously. So the southern third of Oklahoma is a better guarantee of that activity than, say, the central sides, the long east and west of I-40. It's on the northern fringe, but it's there, right? So that's how we have to look at it. So let me see here. All right, let's go to Facebook. Let me see if I can grab a couple of your comments. Kimberly, traveling the busload of kids from Tulsa to McAllister tomorrow after 10. Oh, listen, if you got to drive through 6 inches of water in that area, you're going to deal with some flooding and issues. So use my weather app to dodge some stuff, and then if it's already been pretty bad, you're going to know before you travel, and you're either going to have to sit tight and wait, or you're going to have to maybe navigate some other roadways. I'm not sure. Not exactly a great time to travel, that's for sure. But I understand it is what it is. Sometimes you got to do what you got to do. Zach, how can you see where the front sets up? All right, so Zach wants to know, using a mesonet, how you can do that. All right, I'm going to show you. Kelly, what's the time for our biggest chances for tornadoes in Oklahoma City? Usually late afternoon, early evening, so anytime after 4. But with the data coming in tomorrow, with scattered showers off and on, thunderstorms, as soon as you get the instability in here, which will be anytime early afternoon, at any point in time that could happen. So yeah, southeast Oklahoma, Julian is in that region, potential tornadic activity. Okay, so Candy wants to know on your app, what does a potentially dangerous storm located near X town means? Okay, so on the weather app, you will get various alerts that will come in. So if you get like a dangerous storm approaching, for example, that means a storm either has potential tornado, damaging winds, or damaging hail. All right, so that's considered a dangerous storm. Now, with that, it'll give you your ETA, time of arrival, all that kind of stuff. But it will also tell you an accompanying number, a BTI number, from 1 to 10. If that BTI number is on the low end, it just means that the storm probably has a little rotation with it. Keep an eye on it. If it's a medium to high number, it's got enough rotation there could produce a tornado. All right, now if you get a twisting storm alert, say after that, or maybe it goes just from, that even give you the dangerous storm because it went right to twisting storm alert, that's very important. That means a tornado. So again, it's a numbers game. If it's on the low end, it means it's rotating, and it's not going to produce one yet, but it could, so keep an eye on it. If it's like a 4, 5, or 6 number, it means really watch it close because it could any minute. So you might want to think about getting in your shelter, pay very close attention. If it's a 7, 8, 9, 10, don't even wait, just get in your shelter, and then you can check on it. Because usually once it gets up to that level, it's rare for it not to be a tornado. All right, it's almost a guarantee. So that's how you look at that my app, AT's Weather to Go, when you get these proprietary warnings that you can't get from other apps. And know that. And that kind of goes with the idea because those types of warnings are not issued from National Weather Service. The app itself tells you. So you're not going to get them. So in other words, let's say the Weather Service misses a tornado. It does happen, but let's just say they miss one. They don't put a warning out for that, right? Well, my app will still fill the gap. It'll still issue its custom warning that there's a developing tornado coming your way. So that's why you really want to use the app. It's free, doesn't cost you a thing. So that's the latest with that. Okay, so the mesonet. Let me do that real quick, and then we'll probably get out of here. So let me load this up. Let's do this. All right, so this is Oklahoma mesonet. So this is a surface map. So what you're looking at is these little red numbers are the temperature. These little green numbers are the dew point. And this is the wind barbs, the arrow direction. So there's no like arrowhead on it. There's just a tail. So you'll have to infer an arrowhead, and then you can see the tail, right? And the tail has a wind speed value on it. Either a little tick is 5 knots, a longer tick is 10 knots. Tomorrow we'll probably have some 5 to 10 knots up here, and then you'll have 10, 15, 20 knot ticks down southern Oklahoma. So what you're going to do is find out where in the world is that front going to be. Well, first off, look at where all your dew point values are. 30s, 40s, 40s. This is dry, stable air. 50s, starting to get a little more moist down here. Then look down here in southeast Oklahoma, all right, in this region. What do you see? Dew point of 61. All right, so that's your moist air. That's your juice. That's where it's going to feel humid to you, okay? So what you're going to watch for is this 61 plus, remember upper 60s even, to work its way north and west. So you're going to watch for all these numbers here to change into the 60s. And then what's going to happen is you're going to have these numbers up here into the 50s coming in this direction. So between the two, you're going to have a boundary that sets up. And it depends on which one's stronger than the other as to whether or not this gets shoved to the south some or it gets pushed to the north some. But it'll be a dividing line. So all you're going to look for the front position for tomorrow, and this is where the tornado threat's going to be, is you just look for the dew point values that reach into the 60s along this boundary. Because you'll see a dividing line, and these will all of a sudden be into the 50s really quick. It'll be a fast drop-off. So if you're in the 50s on the north side, no problem. So you're on the front. Again, you live right on the front, so you have a wind that's coming both ways at you with dew point value on the warm side. And you can tell if you could go outside. If you're in the sticky side, then you're on the front. You're in the zone for tornadoes, because storms that can ingest that front into themselves will produce tornadoes more than they wouldn't without it. And then of course there'll be some 70 dew points down across southern Oklahoma, etc. So that's how you can find out where the front is. And again, this boundary probably won't be known till everything settles down early afternoon, and then that'll probably be where front lies for most of the evening. It won't move much until the whole system moves through later on overnight, and then the front won't even be a factor at that point. So that's how you would kind of look that up on your own if you wanted to play armchair meteorologist and figure out, hey, where's the tornado threat for the next few hours? And you can figure that out on your own, because just know that all the other indices are there. So now the only thing you're missing is the exact position of the boundary of the front. And if you're on the north side, you're good. South side, watch out. All right, so that's a good question. Allie wants to know, Fort Worth, Dallas, tornado or not? So let's go take a look. I didn't look at a forecast sounding down there. Let's see. You guys that are late to the party, way late to the party. Why are you guys late to the party? What's your excuse? I'm always shocked at how you guys come in at the tail end and go, "What I miss?" Gee, man, you missed quite a bit. All right, so let me do the forecast sounding for Dallas-Fort Worth, and let me go. And let me even see what the data even looks like down there. So let's do this. All right, we'll go with the her. Okay. Looks like it's going to be pretty capped, but let's take a look. So it does have some storms out to the west of you in the afternoon. So 5 o'clock, I'll just pick a spot here in the Metroplex and see what's going on. Okay, believe it or not, actually, you don't have much of a cap according to the data. You have a very weak cap, 82 degrees over 69, low LCLs, actually a marginal risk for a tornado, believe it or not, if you were to get a supercell storm to work through your area. I think probably one of the limiting factors is you don't have a surface trigger for that. Let me look here at what the dew points look like. Alright, so you're going to have your dew point surge to the north. Oh, dry out a little bit there. Right there. 4, 5, 6. So there may be some dry air infiltration. It's not much, but you can see dew points drop off into the low 60s, and they're kind of mixing into this air mass down here. So that's a negating factor for storm development. Your better juice, though, is out here just west of town where all this purple is. And even though you don't really have any convergence out there, you probably have a theta E axis to help trigger some of these storms. And you're kind of a little bit more to the west, which is closer to the upper level energy from the storm system itself. So that's probably what's going to help you kick those storms out in that vicinity, that vector, over say just a few miles to the east. So you're on the fringe. So it's not out of the question. There's not a strong signal, but it's there. And we can look at the other models that we had up here a minute ago. Let's see here. So there's afternoon. So this one, it favors storms in your area. This one's favors those storms out west again, but supercell storms, just a county over. This one's got it close to you in your backyard in northern Oklahoma. So, or excuse me, northern Texas. So, yeah, if you split the difference in the model data, half of them say, there's not a big enough kicker to get the storms through your area, but if they did, it's a marginal risk for tornadoes. And then others say, you know what, no, I'm going to go ahead and bring them in there. And let's see what they do for the tornadoes on that. Yeah, they all still look the same, tornado type, low cap. So very similar atmosphere across North Texas and southern Oklahoma. So just be careful down there in Dallas-Fort Worth. It's not a huge signal, but it's not a zero signal either. So Rebecca, Lawton, Southwest Oklahoma, all that. Okay, so I've had this. Yes, you're in the same boat the rest of us, south of 40, threat of tornadoes with these storms, especially afternoon and evening. All right, so I'm getting this a lot. If I can't be live, who do you recommend to follow? All right, you want me to be honest with you? You're not going to like what I'm going to tell you. I'm going to give you some straight talk. Straight talk with AT. Ready? I want you to, before you react, just take a deep breath. I want you to process what I'm saying. Just think on it for a minute. All right, just follow me here. A drug addict knows they're not supposed to consume the drug that jacks them up, right? But they do it anyway because they can't help themselves. Human nature, okay? Now, let's pretend your anxiety is a drug. And you consume things that jack up your anxiety because you can't help it. You know you shouldn't, but you do it anyway. And it works you up into a frenzy and you're in a crazy cycle. You're stuck. So, just like the drug addict, take the drug away. You're going to be uncomfortable. You're going to have to go through little withdrawals. Same idea with anxiety. So if you watch somebody that just pumps you full of anxiety, you got to turn it off, right? You got to remove that drug out of your brain to give yourself time to reset, relax, and calm down. If you can't do it, you're just like a drug addict. You got a problem. So this is what I'm telling you. It's not going to be fun to hear this. But it's also human nature, right? Because we are programmed when there's a wreck to slow down and look. It's whatever reason we got something mentally jacked up in our heads that even though we know better, we still go for that forbidden fruit. And maybe that's it. Maybe it's the forbidden fruit curse. I don't know. But so when you ask me who should I watch or what should I do, first off is turn off any source that gives you anxiety. And I don't know what that may be. It may be a channel. It may be people on the channel. I don't know. I don't know what you guys do when you're not watching me or whatever. So that's my best advice to you in general. Secondly, when it comes to qualifications, all right, there are none. And I know it's going to be hard to hear. And I'm surprised by this. In Oklahoma City, there is not a radar meteorologist at all in this market other than myself. Zero. No one's trained in radar meteorology. No one from school like I was. And then no one's been through the programs to work on that stuff like I have been. And then actually has a federal job that is dependent upon that to save lives. So there is no one like me. And I'm not saying it to boast or to brag. I'm just saying as a frank, unfortunate set of circumstances because I'm actually surprised, especially in this market. So there's going to be a lot of weakness on that side of things. Now, these guys and gals, they'll learn, of course, some on their own, but there's going to be some shortcomings in that. But that's in any role, right? So you got great doctors and you've got some bad doctors. It's no different in this field. You got some pretenders and you got some, you got some people that know what they're doing. You got a mixture of both. So that's one element of it. The other element is, so I can see both sides of the spectrum. I can see the meteorologist side of, oh my gosh, let's get into the death and destruction, the storms, look at the environment, oh my gosh, look at the data. Oh, this is something bad's going to happen. I get all that, all right? That's the whole scientist going, a passion for Mother Nature and how we've learned to, predict it and its awe of watching it, studying and all that. I get that side of it. That's fine. It's like the doctor. The doctor goes in preparing. He wants to be a surgeon. He goes all through the training of surgeon. And then if he were to sit there and go, well, I hope I never have to do a single surgery and I don't want to do a surgery. Well, then what's the whole point, right? So if you had nobody to do surgery on, what would you do, right? So I get it. It's a weird, messed up place for meteorologists because we want the crazy stuff. We just don't want anybody to get hurt. Well, come on. Be realistic here. That's not possible. So it's a mental mind, use the F word if you want, but it's bad news. So the idea now is, how do you convey that without getting everybody else all worked up? Well, in the past, it was done pretty well. You guys had no clue what was really going on behind the scenes. So that was good. Because a lot of times those things, they busted. Never worked out as we thought they would. But lately, since social media blew up, it's kind of like everybody has to step over themselves to make everything sound like it's the end of the 3rd, May 3rd all over again. I heard that clown on the other station yelled out May 3rd all week long. And it didn't even get a storm in Oklahoma at all that day after being promised May 3rd over and over and over. Mark it down. I'm like, gosh, just shut up. But, that's me as another scientist calling out a moron for saying stuff like that because it's an emotional component that gets all worked up and excited over data, and you're missing the whole communication aspect, which is why are you getting everybody's anxiety all worked up when odds are this isn't going to pan out like it looks. But by then, the cat's out of the bag. It's already worked everybody up. So again, that's where I kind of started this whole conversation. If you're in that environment where you get worked up with anxiety over someone saying something to you, you got to take that person out of your life. Cut them. Done. You got to be hardcore about it. So that's why I'm here. I mean, that's really, think about it. What am I doing? I have a TV studio, home office. I built all this from scratch. I've been doing this since 2014. Why? Because there was a need. There was a desire to have weather that wasn't sensationalized. There was a desire to have calm, severe weather coverage. There was a desire to be told a tornado's coming without screaming up and down, yelling all these fun, fancy terms, and like it's a show, right? you turn on 4, 5, and 9. It's a show. You're watching a production, watching a circus act. And why am I here? Because believe it or not, some people don't want to watch a circus when their life is on the line. They want to be, they want it taken seriously. They want it calm because they want to be calm. And so that's why I'm here. So when I'm asked, who is there? When I'm not here, no one. There's no one. And that's sad. I should be times 3. There should be one of me on every station to where you don't have to be forced to watch a bunch of clowns put on a show. It doesn't do any good. But keep in mind that industry is clown driven. In other words, I was there. It's crack that whip. Come on. Let's get that energy level going. Let's get that excitement going. Come on, you got to pump it up, and it's just nauseating because it's entertainment. You guys are watching entertainment. It's just in the form of weather, but it's still entertainment. So I get it. I was on that side. I was on the dark side. I didn't like that part of it. I detested it. But if you want to put food on the table, what do? Sometimes you have to suck it up, bite your tongue, do your time, learn, and get the heck out. And so that's what I did. I got the heck out, and then I built all this, and now I compete directly against them, and they don't like that at all. Turns out a lot of the friends that I had quickly stopped being friendly once I was a competitor, and I was getting in their boss's ear because it made them have to work more, work harder, do more of what I do now that they used to not have to do, in addition to what they're currently already doing. So I get it. I increased their workload. So it's fine. I do this on my own spare time. So, my workload is up because I do this just to help you guys out because I enjoy doing it. But every now and then I hear it from Jody. She's like, I need some Jody time. I said, I know, honey. I said, it's severe weather season. It is what it is. I said, this is only, this doesn't go on all year. It's just for short periods of time. So it takes a toll on relationships and stuff like that. So there's a sacrifice involved in all this. So it's, and the other thing is why this is unique, and again, I'm not bragging, it's just I happen to be the right place, the right time, with the right gifts. And what I mean by that is I happen to know how to build stuff, right, on the technical side. Website development, this whole operation as far as broadcasting, all the social media, all the software, to be able to produce, run, execute, troubleshoot on the fly when you guys don't even know what's going on and it's crashing like crazy on my end. Then you have the communication. Be happy or cheerful when you've had a really bad day, and or maybe there is a crash and you want to curse and scream at this stupid computer because everything's going downhill. You got all of that. Then you have to sit there and analyze all the storms on the radar, talk about what's going on, think about it in your head how the storms are structured, designed, and why or why not they won't produce a tornado. And then remember to do everything along with that, so the street names, storm tracks, town names, all that kind of stuff. And then still go and look at weather data and go through all that and analyze the pattern, the situation at the time. Look at live feeds from my own storm chasers and the helicopter shots and everything else. So when you say who else can do all that, I'm telling you, there isn't anybody. It's just me. Somebody somewhere, sometime will come along and be able to do all this, I think, at some point. They'll have to have also the radar meteorology background, too, and that's another issue there. So when I'm gone, guys, I'm gone. Whether that's from not waking up tomorrow morning or I retire or whatever. It is what it is. So just kind of keep that in mind. So if I disappear one day, you're SOL. That's what I'm trying to say. And you're stuck with whoever's still out there on the TV side of things. Dave was saying if you're in North Texas, you can check out Danny Brunoff, KRLD. And he says, Aaron would agree. You're right, because Dan is a friend of mine. So we went to school together at Texas A&M. He's a good dude, smart guy. So if you are in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, he does a great job. So we've been friends, obviously, since my 20s, early 20s when we were in school. So he's in Dallas-Fort Worth, in that north side. You can watch him. Rick Mitchell, obviously my old boss here at Channel 5. He's also good to watch. He's very calm, cool, collected. Matter of fact, when I was at Channel 5, I was almost like, dude, you're too calm. Like, how are you so calm? But being in that environment under his shadow, I learned it's okay to be calm, you know, to a degree. And he'd get in trouble for not being excited enough. But when you're the chief meteorologist, you can get away with a little bit more than you can when you're an underling. And I was an underling, so when I was told to jump, it was how high. Let's see. Oh, Jody's been awesome, Melissa. So Jody's really helped me out. I've never had support like that before for my weather operation. She just dives in. She's on the chat with you guys, helping you out, giving you tips, information, repeating stuff. Although it's funny, it comes at times where she goes, "Okay, so what was the weather going to be tomorrow?" I was so busy talking to everybody, I didn't hear a single word you said. And I'm like, "Can't you multitask?" But no, so she's very good helping me out. So that was a missing element that I had on the social media side of things because there's just so much to do. Let's see. So recap, I guess, for those that are extremely, extremely late. And by the way, just so you know, in the TV world, when I was there, the motto was first on, last off. Do you understand what that means? You're first on the air, and you're last to sign off the air. It's not about whether or not the storm is severe or not, or dangerous or life-threatening. It is about eyeballs. We're not sacrificing a single one of them turning the channel, and we're going to outlast everybody else. So when you have that mentality, all three stations, you can now see why they tiptoe, tap, and dance, and hem, and haw, and stretch, and elongate, and all this stuff. Just draw it all out as much as they can. That's the reason, because that's the behind-the-scenes money system out of it. And trust me, some of the weather guys, some, may not all, I don't know, but some of them detest that because they're like, ugh, you're going to make me sit here and talk about rain at this point? I just want to sign off the air, right? I'm thirsty. I haven't gone to the bathroom. I want to eat dinner. I got to sit here and cover the storm. It's not even severe anymore. I just want to go. So there's a lot of that in the back. And you might be able to tell that as everything's kind of winding down, you might start to pick up on that mood change. So just some of the things you think about when you're watching. They don't like me talking about any of this stuff, by the way. So I gotta be careful what I say. But these are all behind the scenes stuff. Okay, so real quick, here's your recap for those still that were really late to party for some reason. I don't know why. We have multiple rounds of showers in the morning hours into the afternoon. As we transition from morning to afternoon, they become stronger. So some hail is the first step at that. Might be some pockets of wind, and then as we get into the afternoon hours, could be as early afternoon. You're talking after 1 or 2 o'clock. Again, it depends on where that deeper moisture is, the low dew points coming into central Oklahoma if they make it that far. But any of those storms from that point forward can produce a tornado anywhere from central to southern Oklahoma, into southwestern to Texas, all right, into North Texas as well. So the doors open. The probability of seeing a tornado, though, goes up every hour after that to peak in the late afternoon during the evening hours. And it may take a little while for that potential tornado threat to diminish longer than maybe usual. The only thing that kind of help offset that is everything starts to line out. In other words, instead of seeing groups of clusters of storms and supercell storms, we get linear storms of just one line, right? These line segments are one big line chunk. That helps to limit the tornado threat quite a bit. So if you want to root for something, root for that. Or root for the fact we get so much rain and stuff that it keeps most of the instability down south along the Red River into North Texas if you're in Oklahoma. Of course, it doesn't help the folks along the Red River or in North Texas, but, whatever. Tomato. So that's all you got here for tomorrow. So and some of the models will bring that stuff into the metro. There's a frontal boundary that'll be hanging either right along I-40, kind of curling up maybe toward Tulsa a little bit, or it's going to be a little bit more down in the south. It depends on where that boundary is. If you're north of that boundary, no tornado threat for you. If you're on the boundary or south of the boundary, tornado threat for you. And that boundary won't be known until probably 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Kind of depends on how everything goes in the morning. And then it shouldn't move much. So wherever it is at 2 and 3, it should hold pretty steady. So I think that was it. And then the storms move all through Wednesday night. And then there's some wraparound light shower activity. Looks like some for parts of northern, northeastern Oklahoma on Thursday. Some severe weather for Arkansas at that point. as that system moves through. But that's going to be about it. So in a nutshell, that's what we're looking at. So there you go. All right, I have got to get out of here. I have a lot to do, and I have no time to do it. Story of my life. I just now got caught up on all y'all's messages, by the way, just so you know. Y'all flood my inbox every time there's a tornado event, and of course I can't see any of those until after the fact, and it takes me forever to get caught up in all this stuff, because it is what it is. So no complaints, but it is what it is, so it takes me a while. So I just got caught up on that. Now I do some other stuff. But appreciate you guys checking in, watching, supporting me, all that stuff, being a subscriber. Many of you signed up lately to be a subscriber on Facebook fan subscriptions or Patreon. So I thank you for that. If you haven't got access yet to the closed group page, make sure you ask for that. Details when you signed up should be there. And I think that's it for me. I will not be able to do a lunchtime live tomorrow. I'll probably be able to do a little short update somewhere sometime, just what I've seen in the data. But as far as like doing all the graphics and stuff, I don't know if I'll be able to or not. We'll see. But like I said, probably won't be able to cover the tornadic activity tomorrow, late afternoon, early evening. I'll be indisposed, so nothing I can do about it, unfortunately. But be safe, be careful, use No Weather Radio, use my weather app, AT's Weather to Go, Apple, Google Play, and that ought to keep you safe. And then any source you want to watch that doesn't raise your anxiety, go for it. If it does, and it's freaking you out, you're going to have to turn it off for your own sanity. That's what I got for you. All right, thanks for watching, guys. Sleep well. We will talk again soon. Be careful. Take care.